What if Canada had accepted the invitation extended to them by the United States in the 11th article of the 1781 Articles of Confederation to join the United States and accept the rights and privileges of statehood? Projected outcome: Quebec and Ontario would have gained statehood, resulting in a major increase in the size of the United States. Through western expansion and manifest destiny, the United States would have eventually grown and taken in the rest of modern-day Canada as states. Since Britain would not have colonies on the western side of the continent, it is unclear whether Russia would have felt it necessary to sell Alaska to the United States. If they didn't, then it would only be logical for the United States to pursue trade deals with the bordering nation. With Alaska still in Russian control, they would have also had more resources, and the Cold War may have lasted longer on the Alaskan, Canadian-American front. With a large increase in territory and resources, the United States would have gained stability and immediately have been placed as a world power. What if General Beauregard had pressed the Confederate advantage in the 1862 Battle of Shiloh instead of retreating and establishing defensive positions? Projected outcome: As a result of continuing forward, General Grant's army would have been all but destroyed. By taking up defensive positions immediately and reorganizing his men while waiting for reinforcements, Beauregard would have effectively won the battle and handed the North a stunning defeat. General Grant would have been relieved of command, and President Lincoln would have redistributed troops, sending some westward, resulting in insufficient forces to take Richmond. By protecting the South, the Confederacy would have been able to convert plantations to farmland and maintain their army. With the Union Army facing internal power struggles and the war in a near stalemate, President Lincoln would have had no force behind any words proclaiming the Southern slaves free. A victory in the Battle of Shiloh would also have profited the Confederacy with foreign allies and support. With the North tired of the conflict, George McClellan would have won the 1864 presidential election and negotiated a treaty with the CSA. The ramifications of a Confederate nation would have been significant on the rest of American history, including continuation of slavery.
What if the Supreme Court had not secured the power of judicial review in 1803 with Marbury v. Madison? Projected outcome: The judicial branch would not have the power to declare the actions and laws of the executive and legislative branches unconstitutional, creating an imbalance between the branches. If judicial review had not been established, we could not have had rulings like Brown versus Board of Education. Without segregation in schools being declared unconstitutional according to the 14th Amendment, the civil rights movement could have progressed much slower. Without judicial review, the Supreme Court would have less power, and America could be very different due to the lack of landmark rulings influencing our laws. What if the Mexican-American War had never happened? If President James Polk had not created tension between Mexico and the U.S., California and New Mexico both could have joined the Union without war. Due to Mexico's tolerance of American settlers, California and New Mexico could have gained large populations of Americans, eventually rebelling against Mexico like Texas to form their own states. These two new independent states would have been annexed to the United States by Polk like Texas. What if the Founding Fathers never put the Second Amendment in the Constitution? Assuming that the balance between the people and the government was stable till World War II, the projected outcome is a more difficult conflict potentially on the home front in World War II. After the Pearl Harbor attacks, the Emperor of Japan felt empowered. It was the threat of armed American citizens that kept the Japanese from attempting an invasion. If we did not have the Second Amendment, we could have faced the Japanese on our western front before building up our forces, potentially losing many lives. The Second Amendment not only gives us the ability to fight off tyranny, it also acts as a deterrent to foreign nations that would attempt an invasion.